Students, sorry. Welcome back to another live PEP class. This is the day that we do performance task and sorry. Oh Lord. Good night, everyone. Please forgive my voice tonight. Have a little sore throat, but we're going to pull through. All right, so we're doing our performance task, and the title of tonight's performance task is Hurricane Evacuation. So we're going to dive into it, but before we do that, I'm going to play the schedule of live classes for you. Hello CSEC math students, I know you are busy preparing for your math tests and your CSEC exams coming up. I have a very important question to ask you. Do you like my new hat? Thank you. Now another important question. Have you ever gotten a math problem wrong simply because of making one little mistake? I'm sure you have, as thousands of other students have. Now in this series, we're going to be looking at the common mistakes that students make with all the topics in CSEC Math. We're going to look at the common errors, demystify everything, make sure you watch every video in this series so that you can avoid making those mistakes. So stay tuned. Hello scholars, did you know that most times when students get problems wrong in mathematics is as a result of one single error or one mistake? Well, this is absolutely true, and we're going to be looking at the common errors that students make in the different topics in mathematics. If we know the errors beforehand, we can certainly avoid making them. Are you ready? Come on, take my hand. All right, so thank you for joining us from wherever in the universe you are, from Twitter, from Facebook, from Instagram, all those in the chat. Remember that you are encouraged to post your questions and to post your answers and your comments. For those in studio, I'm going to invite you now to join me on screen. And we have John, Amari, Madison, Jer.
Good night, miss.
Good night.
Hi, miss.
Hi, Lejeune Day.
Hi, Miss. Good. Um, I'm thinking about how we joined so late.
We're not that late. It's 7:04, and I was
Good night.
having a little
Night,
throat
miss.
problem. Good night, everyone. I was having a
No,
little throat.
I saw it normally start 6 o'clock. That's why I said late.
Oh no. It's 7 to 8.
Oh, okay.
On Friday, it's 4:30 to 6. All right, so good night to Antoine joining us in the chat this evening. Ashlyn, welcome. Rodriguez, welcome. All right, so as usual, my scholars want me to share the link in the chat. So here you go. There you go. All right, so yes, Miss Madison, I notice you have a lovely hairstyle this evening. Looking beautiful as usual. Yes, so she's in curls this evening.
Thank you, Miss.
You are welcome, madam.
Miss, your hair look nice.
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
All right, and I'm sure my other scholars will agree. Now we're going to share our screen and go to our performance task. Okay. Body is all lined up. And the title of this performance task is Hurricane Evacuation. Hurricane Evacuation. Has any of you ever had to be evacuated from your home during a hurricane?
No, Miss.
No, Miss. I don't
No,
think
miss.
I've ever experienced a hurricane.
Me
You've never
either.
experienced a hurricane ever?
No.
Miss,
No.
I think when I was a baby, but not like.
No, man,
Miss,
I'm
the
sure
last
you
time
have. We have had so many hurricanes in all your 10, 11, 12 years. The range of
well,
ages, you guys, 10,
well, I
11,
do.
12. You've
Well,
never
I don't
experienced
think.
a hurricane living in
No,
Jamaica?
Miss.
Well, okay, not that you can remember, but ask mommy and daddy later. So we're going to look at a student, Jessica, and her family. And okay, so Jer says he may have experienced a hurricane, none of great magnitude. Madison says she has experienced an earthquake, but not a hurricane. I'm not so sure about that. Madison, you need to check with mommy and daddy. We have had several hurricanes. Maybe nothing catastrophic, like a Hurricane Gilbert or Charlie or one of those devastating ones. But some
Miss,
minor ones.
Miss,
Yes.
my mom tells me about Hurricane Gilbert and Hurricane Sandy all the time.
Yeah. When Hurricane Gilbert struck, that was 1988, I believe. And I was 13. I definitely remember Hurricane Gilbert. See, Amari has been in a hurricane. That means Madison has seen an hurricane. Unless Madison was at another part of the globe at that time.
I was probably in the US.
That's okay. So maybe that's why. All right. So a hurricane is heading this way, and Jamaica is predicted to be in its direct path. The storm is expected to start affecting the island within the next few hours. Today, we will help Jessica and her family prepare for the hurricane. A hurricane is heading this way, and Jamaica is predicted to be in its direct path. The storm is expected to start affecting the island within the next few hours. Today, we will help Jessica and her family prepare for the hurricane. Legende, could you please read question 1 twice?
Number 1. The hurricane is now a Category 3 storm traveling at a speed of 180 kilometers per hour. If it is expected to make landfall at Morant Point, St. Thomas, within the next 48 to 72 hours, about what time should the residents of that town start feeling the effects? If it is now 3:30 p.m. on Tuesday there. The hurricane is now a Category 3 storm traveling at a speed of 180 kilometers per hour. If it is expected to make landfall at Moran Point, St. Thomas, within the next 48 hours, 48 to
48.
72, how is?
Go ahead.
For the next 48 to 72 hours, about what time should the residents of that town start feeling the effects if it is now 3:30 p.m. on Tuesday there.
All right, so what are we saying? What's our answer for this question?
Miss, I'm coming, I'm trying to work it out.
Okay. All right, guys, so let's hear it. Anyone ready to give me their answer? Madison, you ready?
Yes, Miss. 3:30 in 2 days or 3 days p.m.
Hold on. I'm not sure I'm being heard on the.
Miss, I can hear you.
You
Miss,
guys
we
in the
can hear
studio.
you.
Yes, Miss, we can hear you. Yes,
Yes,
Miss, we
Miss, we
can
No,
can
hear
hear
I
you.
know you. I know you can hear me in the studio. Those in the chat, are you able to hear me? If they don't answer in 2 minutes, they can't hear me. Persons in the chat, can you hear me? Because I'm not on the screen. Okay, so they're hearing me. All right. But that's weird because I'm not on the screen.
Miss,
All
probably
right.
because a lot of persons are on the screen, 5 persons are on the screen, so probably they put it somewhere else, but we can still hear
Yeah,
you.
so normally when that happens, and I'm not on the screen, persons aren't able to hear me. So anyway, that's fine. Once they can hear me, that's fine. All right, so what are we saying right now, guys? What are we saying?
Miss, do you
Madison,
hear
go
what I
ahead.
said?
You were
I'm
saying what?
saying in the next 2 days at 3:30 p.m. or the next 3 days at 3:30 p.m.
Oh, so, okay, so which days that we're talking about?
Miss, what do you mean?
Name the day. Monday, Saturday, what?
Miss, Miss, can
Oh,
I help you?
Miss, Friday or Saturday.
Would it be Friday or Saturday?
Miss,
It's
Thursday or
Friday.
Miss,
Friday.
Thursday or
Thursday.
Friday.
Okay, so
Thursday or
Thursday,
Friday.
Thursday.
between Thursday and Saturday at 3:30 p.m. So you're correct. What made you decide to do that, Madison?
Miss, at first I tried adding 48 hours to 15 hours Thursday, and then I realized that I didn't have to do that because
Mm-hmm.
um 24 hours the next day would still be the same time, or two
Exactly.
days it would still be the
Right.
same time.
So when I saw you guys working out, I'm saying, what are they working out? 24 hours, that's one full day. So 24 hours from 3:30 Tuesday would be 3:30 p.m. Wednesday, right? And 48 hours would be 2 days away at the same 3:30. So that's correct. They should start by Thursday at 3:30 to Friday at 3:30. 2 to 3 days.
Okay, Miss.
All right. Um, so let's continue. Jaden, can you read question 2, please?
Okay, Miss. Number 2. Jessica lives in a low-lying section of Morant Bay, and the government has warned that residents of the and the government has warned that residents of this area may be asked to evacuate. What does this mean? What do you think would happen if those residents would What do you think would happen if those to those residents if they evacuate and if they don't. Number two,
Miss?
Jessica lives in a low-lying section of Morant Bay, and the government has warned that residents of this area may be asked to evacuate. What does this mean? What do you think would happen to those residents if they evacuate and if they don't?
All right.
Miss,
Go ahead.
Miss, I think I know.
Miss,
Miss, would
Wait,
they?
hold on. Legende, you go ahead. Each person will tell me what they think, right? So Legende, you go first.
Oh, I was thinking, Miss, if they don't evacuate, they will die. And if they evacuate, then they will be more safe than staying at the low-lying section of Morant Bay.
What does it mean to evacuate?
To leave, to leave,
a
to
place
leave
for
the
safe
low-lying section of Morant Bay.
Okay. So to leave a dangerous area
for a safer
and
place.
go to a safer area. Okay. All right. So Legende, do you think they would have to necessarily die?
Huh? Miss, can you repeat, please?
Would they have to die necessarily if they stay?
No.
Miss, can I?
Well,
I'm gonna come to you,
if
Jaden. Hold on, Jaden.
if they stay, then
What you said, Miss?
they can
Hold on,
probably,
Jaden.
if they stay, they can probably try to trick or try to escape. But there's
Okay.
a high percent chance that if they stay, that they will die.
Okay. All right. Madison and then Jaden. What you saying, Madison?
Miss,
If they, if
I
they
I think the people who stay will have a higher chance of flooding and losing their belongings than the people who evacuate.
all right. How about does the time matter? Because suppose you decide to evacuate just as the storm hits.
Miss, I think the time matters. You have to evacuate before the storm. Not right
Yes.
before, but a long
So
time
as
before the
soon
storm.
as you get the order to evacuate, right? You have to jump at it. All right, Jaden, what do you have to add?
Miss, I was going to say that the large amounts of rain has a higher can flood Morant, the low-lying sections of Morant Bay and cause drowning or loss of belongings. But if they go to the higher areas, the flood cannot reach the higher areas like the hills. So
But they can't
nobody
pick up
would
all their
drown. But
belongings.
there's still a chance that roofs can be flown off of the houses because they're higher.
Okay, right. So whatever they're doing, there still is a chance of danger. Even if they evacuate, they can run and go straight into the danger as well, right? But as everybody is saying, the chance of them being safe is greater going to the designated area than staying in the low-lying area. Did anybody else want to add something that
Miss,
has
can I
not
say
been?
something?
Yes, Legende.
I was going to say, when they get the warning, they're not going to have all of their belongings because they cannot pick up all of their belongings. So it's
Right,
better they pick up the more important stuff and
right.
leave the stuff that they don't really need. So if the flood comes, you have all your important stuff, and the other stuff you can get them, buy them again.
Very true. And
Yes,
you're not even going to be allowed to take everything because you have to leave space for other families, right? Who are coming in.
yes.
All right, so John and Amari are saying if they evacuate, they would have a better chance of surviving the hurricane. All right, so we're all agreeing here. Madison, I'd love for you to read question 3.
Okay, Miss. Number 3. A family has a budget of $18,000 to spend on stocking up supplies for the hurricane. Here is their emergency checklist with the proportion of money to be allotted to certain items. First aid kit, 5%. Candles, flashlight, batteries, and kerosene, 8%. Canned foods, 10%. Bread, buns, crackers, 10%. Water, 30%. Boxed juices, 15%. Dried fruits, X%. How much money will be spent on each set of items? Number 3. The family has a budget of $18,000 to spend on stocking up supplies for the hurricane. Here is their emergency checklist with the proportion of money to be allotted to certain items. First aid kit, 5%. Candles, flashlights, batteries, kerosene, 8%. Canned foods, 10%. Bread, buns, crackers, 10%. Water, 30%. Boxed juices, 15%. Dried fruits, X%. How much money will be spent on each of the items?
All right, so I know you're gonna need a little time to work that out, right?
Miss, I just want to put out something for all
Go
of
ahead.
those that will take up that for all of those that that will take up 78% of the money.
All right, so that's gonna help us. That will help us in finding out, first of all, how much for the dried fruits. The dried fruits would be the remaining. So I think I probably need to add that in there, that the X% would be the remaining balance,
Miss,
right?
remaining questions.
Yeah.
Yes, Miss. Miss, and that would be 22, Miss. Miss, a dried fruit is
Okay.
22%.
All right. So work out how much money would be allotted to each set of items. So let's start with the first aid kit. How much money are they planning on spending on items for the first aid kit?
Miss, it would be 900, Miss, because it would be 5 over 100 times 18,000, Miss, and you get 900.
All right, so Jerry's saying $900 as well. And Jerry's saying for X, so Jerry has already found X. So let me hear what other persons are saying first before I tell you what Jerry's saying. Do we all agree that for the first aid, $900 for the first aid? Does anyone have any other answer for first aid? So we would find 5% of the 18,000. 5 over 100 times 18,000. All right, so that does give $900. How about the candles, flashlight, batteries? How about that set?
Miss, $1,440.
And how did you get that, John?
Miss, I did 10 over, wait, Miss, sorry. 8 over 100 times 18,000, Miss. That's how I got the 1,000.
Okay, so 8%, 8 over 100 times 18,000. All right. Next category. What's the next category?
Miss, how much did he get again?
1,440.
Okay, Miss.
And Miss,
How
what
about
kind?
the canned foods?
Okay, Miss. Miss, I got 1,800. Miss, and how I got it? 10 over 100 times 18,000. Miss. And I got 1,800.
Mm-hmm.
Miss,
Yes, Lejande.
I was going to put out that my Wi-Fi is very bad, so sometimes if you're talking, I'm not going to hear you. Okay, Miss?
All right. I'm sorry about that. So do we get the general idea? We just need to work out the percent. Put that
Miss.
percent over 100. Go ahead, Madison.
Also, the bread, buns, and crackers, it would be the same.
All right, because it's the same 10%, right? How about the
Yes,
water?
miss.
How about the water?
Miss, 5,400.
$5,400. And we got that by finding what? 30%?
30% of 18,000.
So 30 over 100 times 18,000. Ashlyn is also saying 5,400. And the last one, that was what again?
Miss the box juice or
Box
the dried fruit?
juices.
No, miss.
Box
We have the
juices.
dried fruits.
Oh, yes. The last one that was given the percentage. So that's
Yes, miss.
box juices. How much
Miss,
money?
miss, that is $3,960.
For the box juices?
Oh, sorry, miss. Miss, that's $2,700.
All right. So they really want to make sure that they're going to stay hydrated during this storm, right? They're planning to spend a good amount of money on water for the family and juices to stay hydrated. All right, so Jer had given me his figure for the fruits. What other persons get for the dried fruits?
Miss, I got the same thing.
Which is
Miss, $3,960.
all right, so that's what Jer said he got. So Jer, how you got that?
Miss, so what I did, I added up all the different percentages, miss. Then found that percentage of 80, which was 78%. Then when you find it, miss, the answer I got, I subtracted from 18,000, miss. Then I subtracted from 18,000 and got 3,960. Then to find the percent of that, I would just put it over 18,000 times 100, which would give it 22%.
Okay, so you chose that method. So
Wait, miss,
you
what
added
was
up
his answer again?
$3,960. So what he did, he added up the percentages that we know already and worked out that percent of the total 18,000. And when he got that answer, he subtracted it from the 18,000. Is there another way? John, is that the way you worked it?
Well, miss, since we already found the dried fruit present, miss, I did 22 over 100 times 18,000, miss. So that's how I got it.
Okay, so you added up the percentages and took the percentage from 100, which is 22%,
Yes, miss.
and
What
then
I
you
did
found 22% of 18,000. So whichever way you work it, you'll be fine. All right, so Jer, can you read question 4, please?
Four, an emergency evacuation order has been issued for residents of low-lying areas in Morant Bay. 3 huge buses have been sent to shuttle the residents to their nearest disaster centers. Each bus can load 84 seated
Can
passengers and
hold.
can hold 84 seated passengers and the driver. No passenger will be standing. Using all buses, how many trips will be required to shuttle 2,486 residents to the center? 4. An emergency evacuation order has been issued for residents of low-lying areas in Morant Bay. 3 huge buses have been sent to shuttle the residents to the nearest disaster center. Each bus can hold 84 seated passengers and the driver. No passenger will be standing. Using all buses, how many trips will be required to shuttle 2,486 residents to the center?
All right, so what we're saying for this one? How many trips?
This
Madison?
this 10 trips.
10 trips in all. Ten trips in all. So you're saying, are you saying all the buses together will make 10 trips, or each bus will make 10 trips?
It's all the buses together.
All right, so Jer says he agrees. All the buses together will make 10 trips in all. Does anyone agree, disagree? And
Miss,
tell
I'm
us how
still,
you got that, Madison. You agree, John?
Miss, I'm still working it, Miss.
Madison, how did you
So
get 10 trips in all?
so Miss I multiplied 84 by 3 and I got 252. Then I divided it into
Hold on,
two.
why did you use 84?
Miss, because each can hold 84. So all
How
three
about
of
the
them together.
driver?
Oh,
All right, but continue.
Miss, it would be 85 then.
All right, so continue.
84 by 3 and I got 252. And then I divided it into 2486 and I got 9 and a remainder. Yes, I didn't put the remainder, but once there was a remainder, you have to add one more so that the others can go.
All right, but multiplying the 85 by 3, you are, in doing that, you are accounting for the 3 buses. You're saying for each of the buses. So the 9.7 trips is what each bus would make, because remember, you multiply the 85 by 3.
Oh, okay.
So it's not 10 trips in all. It'll be 10 trips for each bus. Do you understand?
Miss, what was the figure that you said was for the 85?
255.
Okay, Miss.
Yes, Miss, I did it that way, Miss, and I got the 9.7 around it up to 10.
Okay. All right, so I would love for, who hasn't read? Amari and John haven't read, right? John, did you read?
No, Miss, I didn't read.
All right, Amari, can you read question 5, please?
Okay, Miss. Question 5. Each family is allowed to take no more than 2 suitcases and two small bags with personal items. Jessica's family is on bus B, and there are 6 other families on that bus. What is the maximum number of suitcases and bags that bus B will carry?
How many times you read it, John? Twice?
Oh, Miss it's me.
Sorry,
Miss I read
Amari.
it once. I got to
Amari,
read
read it again.
number 5. Each family is allowed to take no more than 2 suitcases and 2 small bags with personal items. Jessica's family is on bus B, and there are 6 other families on that bus. What is the maximum number of suitcases and bags that bus B will carry? Miss, I've come
Hold
to a
on, John.
conclusion.
Hold on, John. Before I go to that, let me clarify again for question 4, which had asked how many suitcases in all. So it's 10 trips for each bus, so that's 30 trips in all, right? And so
Yes, Miss.
Madison saying 30 trips, and Rodriguez said he also got 30 trips. All right, so what you saying, John, about question 5?
Okay, Miss. Miss, for question 5, Miss Inch, there is Jessica's family and 6 other family, Miss. So Jessica's family plus the 6 other family, Miss. That would be 7 families. So Miss, 7 times 2, which is 14, Miss. The 14 suitcases, and 7 times 2, Miss, and it'd be 2 small, and 7 times 2 is 14, Miss. So it'd be 2 small bags. Of 14
small
small bags.
bags. Oh,
Miss, 14
okay.
small bags. Sorry.
All right. So 14 suitcases, 14 small bags. Anyone disagree? Madison says 14 bags. 14 bags in all.
Miss, that's the maximum they can carry.
Bags. So how about the suitcases?
Oh, Miss, that was for the suitcases.
So suitcases and bags, 14 together.
No, Miss. It's 28.
All right. So 28 in all. 14 suitcases, 14 small bags. All right, John, it's your turn to read. Question 6, please.
Okay, Miss. Number 6. Jessica's family has been assigned to the Morant Bay Civic Center. The families will sleep on rectangular mats on the floor. Large mats are 2 meters by 3 meters. Small mats are 1.5 by 1.5 meters by 2.5 meters. The sleeping space on the floor is 30 meters by 40 meters. There were 100 large and 120 small mats. If the mats were spread side to side, how much walking space would remain on the floor? Number 6. Jessica's family has been assigned to the Morant Bay Civic Center. The families will sleep on rectangular mats on the floor. Large mats are 2 meter by 3 meter. Small mats are 1.5 meter by 2.5 meter. The sleeping space on the floor is 30 meter by 40 meter. There were 100 large and 120 small mats. If the mats were spread side to side, how much walking space would remain on the floor?
All right, so let's deal with that one. So they're gonna sleep on mats, sleeping mats on the floor, right? It's an evacuation center. You're not gonna be comfy and cozy like when you're at home, right? You have to soldier it out. And you're huddled there with other families in a confined space, right? But you're making the best of it. So you're sleeping on mats. You have some large mats, you have some small mats. And
Excuse
of
me.
course, different dimensions. Legende, say what?
I was saying, I think the answer is 2.5 walking spaces.
2.5 what? What's the unit?
Walking spaces.
Walking space is not the unit here. Look at the screen. What's the unit being used?
Miss.
All right, and we're trying to find space. So that's what? Is that length, width, height, area, volume? What are we finding when we're talking about how much space? Walking space on the floor. All right, so Jer says area. Everybody agrees, disagrees? Walking space on the floor, is that length, width, height, volume, area? On the floor. They want to know how much walking space. You sure, Legende? So think of it. So the mats are rectangular. The mats are rectangular, right? And the floor itself is also rectangular. And the mats are going to be spread on the floor. So how do we work out how much walking space would be available on the floor?
Miss, I have an idea, Miss, but okay, so Miss, since there's 100 large mat, Miss, you'd find the meter, Miss, it'd be 2 meter times 3 meter, Miss, that gives you 6 meters. Miss, so 100 times 6,
2
which
meters
is
times 3 meters gives 6 what?
6 meters squared, Miss.
Okay.
That means it'd be 100 large mats times the the area of the large mat, Miss. So that's 600 centimeters squared.
Meters.
Yes, Miss, meters squared.
Mm-hmm.
And Miss, the small mat, it'd be 1.5 meter times 2.5 meter, and that gives you 3.75 meters. So
Mm-hmm.
120. Wait, 3.75 meters squared. 120 times 3.75 meters squared, Miss. That gives you 450 meters squared.
Okay.
Miss?
So you'd add it,
Hold on, he's not finished.
Miss. Then you'd add the 600 meters squared plus the 450 meters squared, and that gives you 1,050 meters squared. And then the 30 times the 40, Miss, that gives you 1,200 meters squared. 1,200 meters squared from 1,050 meters squared.
No, the other way around.
Oh, sorry, Miss. 150 meters squared from 1,200 meters squared. That would give you, and that would give you 50 meters. Wait, sorry,
Are you sure?
150 meters squared, Miss.
Okay. All right.
Yes, yes,
So
that's what I got.
Madison also got 150 meters square. Is that the same method you use, Madison?
Yes, miss.
All right. Ariella in the chat is asking, what are we doing? Ariella, we are doing a performance task, and the title is Hurricane Evacuation. And we're helping Jessica and her family to work out some issues. They have to evacuate their area because of the threat of flooding due to a hurricane. Amir says he got 120 meters. Well, it can't be meters, Amir. We're talking about ground space, so that's area. It would have to be meters squared, but it's not 120. So Madison and John are on point with this question. So we work out the area of the floor, which is 30 meters times 40 meters, and that would give us 1,200 meters square. And John very diligently worked out the area of the large mats times how many large mats, right? So 2 meters times 3 meters times 100, and that gave us 600 meters square. Then the small mats, their area 1.5 meters times 2.5 meters times 120 of them. So that gave us 450 meters square. We add those two mats together, the space that the two types of mats take up, that gave us 1,050 meters square, and we take that from the full area of the floor, which is 150 meters square. Jaden, could you read the next question, please? Question 7.
Okay, Miss. During the roaring storm, some of the adults told stories to the children to keep them calm. They told as Anansi twice as many stories as Duppy stories, and the same number of Y stories as Anansi stories. The night at that night a total of 15 stories were told. How many of each story was told? Number 7. During the roaring storm, some of the adults told the children to keep them calm. They told twice as many Anansi stories as Duppy stories, and the same number of Big Boy stories as Anansi stories. That night, a total of 15 stories were told.
Okay, so how many of each story was told? How many of each
Miss,
story was told? Madison?
I have the answer. Three. Um, sorry, three Duffy stories, six Anansi, and six Big Boy stories.
Okay, method, please.
Okay. Hello, Miss, can you hear me?
Go ahead, go ahead.
So the ratio that I put it in was 2 to 1 to 2. So I've added the
So
numbers
one,
together.
1 to 2 to 2. Put it in order, please.
Yes, it's 1 to 2 to 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I
And why did
found
you choose that ratio?
Miss because it says they told twice as many Anansi stories as Duppy stories. So that means the Duppy stories is 1, and then the Anansi stories is 2 because it's twice as many or
Okay,
two
all
times as
right.
many.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big boy. So it would be 2 times as many as the Duppy. So
Okay.
we add the numbers together 2 plus 1 plus 2, which would give you 5. So I put 2 over 5 times 15 over 1, and I got 6. So 6 and 6 would be the same for Anansi and Big Boy. So 6 for both
Mm-hmm.
of them. And then the 1 would be 3 because 6 plus 6 is 12, and then 12 plus 3 is 15.
Okay, or we could put 1/5 times 15. Same thing. 3. So brilliant, Madison. So 3 Duppy stories, 6 Anansi stories, and 6 Big Boy stories. You guys ever hear any Big Boy stories?
Nope.
No,
No.
miss.
Oh
Nope.
my.
No,
When we were in primary school, so that would be the 80s. We would have Big Boy stories, and Big Boy was just a silly boy who just went around doing some crazy things. He wasn't using his head at all. All right, but I know you're familiar with the Anansi stories and the Duppy stories. Which ones you prefer to hear?
Yeah. Duppy stories,
And
miss.
Nancy,
Especially when
I
you're
have
attacking.
never heard a Duppy story.
You have never heard a Duppy story?
Miss, I heard a lot of
No,
Duppy stories
miss.
before.
You need to go to. Do you have any relatives living in the country areas of Jamaica?
Um, yes, yes, but I don't think she'd know any.
In or maybe the neighbors, get some of the older guys, the older grandmas and grandpas. They remember the Duppy stories, and they will scare you so much,
Miss,
because these
I'm
Duppy
pretty
stories
sure.
were told at night,
Excuse me,
in the
Miss.
wee hours, right?
Miss, can I say something?
Go ahead, Jaden.
Miss, when I lived with my great aunt, she told I it's a very vivid memory. I can barely remember it, but I'm pretty sure the story was there was a with clanging chain at night, and you could
Hmm.
run it off with mop. Pretty sure
So
that's what
that
it
would
was.
be the rolling car, right? So Jerry's saying that's a rolling cab. Jerry sound like him know him Duppy story then.
Miss, I
Yes,
think I've heard about
and
the rolling
Antoine is
clock
saying,
before.
yeah, Antoine is saying the rolling cab. So
Miss,
Antoine hear about it too. You guys never
Miss
heard about the
probably,
rolling cab?
Miss probably, I have heard Duffy stories, but I don't know that is a Duffy story.
Oh,
Miss, I
okay.
think I've heard about the rolling calf.
Mm-hmm.
I
Miss,
think
the rolling
I hear about it.
it was the first and last ever Duppy
Okay. Well,
because I'm
Miss,
not
I
growing
think
up,
horror.
we
I'm
heard
not
lots of
into
Duppy
horror.
stories. It's not so common nowadays, but we need to get back to our roots and start telling these stories again, because there are lessons to learn from them. even though or you may not believe it's true, but there are still lessons.
Miss,
All
can
right,
I
so
say something?
go ahead, Legende.
I was going to say I prefer telling duppy stories like when you're at camp in the night when you're about to
Yes,
sleep. That's
right.
what that's the most common time when you tell scary
Yes,
stories.
and then you
And
have
then
to
like
sleep with
when
the
you're
cover
at a
over your head.
sleepover, then you
Hmm.
can tell like Anansi stories.
Yes,
So
I agree. I agree. All right, Jer, I'd like you to read question 8, please.
8. During the torrential rains, Jessica's father peeped through a crack and he estimated that the floodwaters on the street were rising at a rate of about 1/8 of a meter every 3 hours. If this was true, about how higher would the water on the road even have risen within 7 hours? During the torrential rains, Jessica's father peeped through a crack, and the estimate were rising at a rate of about 1/8 of a meter every 3 hours. If this was true, about how higher would the water on the road have risen within 7 hours?
All right, so what are we saying for this one? All right, so I've asked Lejonde and Amari and John to switch places for a little bit so we can allow other scholars to get some airtime. So welcome Rodriguez and welcome Ariella, sorry. All right, so what are we saying for question 8?
Me, Miss.
Go ahead, Madison.
Um, Miss, 84.5 centimeters.
And how do we come by that?
Wait, never mind, Miss.
You change your mind?
Yes, Miss.
Oh dear. Anybody else? Anyone else? Or higher? Lejonde says 0.55 centimeters. Lejonde, explain in the chat how you come by. I don't just want you guys to give me answers. I want reasons. Because especially Lejonde loves seeing numbers floating about and grab them. She does see the number them floating and she grab them, and I don't want that, right? So you should be able to explain to me. Oh, okay. Oh, Antoine is saying in the chat, Antoine is saying he didn't hear the Duppy stories. He read them. Okay, I wonder what book that was in. Antoine, tell me the name of the book if you remember it.
Miss, please get it because I want it. I'm going to ask my
Madison
mom
says
for
she
it.
wants to read it. There is a book called The Duppy by Anthony Winkler, a Jamaican author. I know that one has some Duppy stories in it. Am I mixing up two books? I know The Duppy by Anthony Winkler, and there's another one called Duppy Stories, Jamaican Duppy Stories. I forget the author. So, Antoine, if you remember that book, the other scholars want to get a read. It was a school book. Oh, see if you can remember the name, Antoine. Somebody,
Miss,
so you're not saying 37.5 centimeters.
yes, Miss.
All right, why you change your talk for that one?
Because it says 1/8 of a meter every 3 hours. So I multiplied the 1/8 of a meter by 3, which would be 12.5 times 3, which would give you 37.5.
All right, so go again.
Um, the 1/8 of a meter is 12.5 centimeters. So I
Oh,
times
okay.
that by 3 and I got 37.5. But I think it would be more accurate if I multiplied it by 2.
So 1/8 of a meter. So it rises 30. Give me the figure again. 37.5. Give me the figure.
No, miss. 12.5 centimeters.
How many meters? 0.1.
125.
0.125. Okay. 25 meters. All right. So 0.125 meters each. So every 3 hours, it rises 12.5 centimeters.
Miss.
So how about the 7? Or how the 7 come into it?
Miss. 3 to 6 plus 1, 7. Miss, if that's what you're talking about.
They want to know how high it would have risen in 7 hours, right?
Yes, miss. But
Mhm.
12.5 can't go into 7.
So 12.5 every 3 hours.
Sorry, miss. 3 can't go into 7.
Okay, so find out for 1 hour. If it's
Okay.
12.5 every 3 hours, how much is it for 1 hour?
Miss, it's a good thing I learned to divide by decimal, a whole number by decimal properly today.
All right, so do that. Just multiply it by the 7.
Miss, multiply the number that I get by the 7.
So we divide it by 3 to see how much in 1 hour. And then we're going to multiply that by 7 to see how much in 7 hours.
Miss, 4.16 times
4.1.
7.
Right, times 7. Boy, Rodriguez wants to know the name of that book. That book is The Duppy by Anthony Winkler. And then there's another one called Jamaican Duppy Stories. I forget the author though of that one. I have to go look it up back. And then Antoine is gonna tell us when he remembers the name of his book, his school book that he said he got some Duppy stories in it. All right, so you get the answer for that, Madison?
I got 29.12.
Correct. 29.12 meters. Centimeters.
Miss, also the book that he might have gotten the stories from, I think it's called Water Fright. I got that book in grade 2.
There were some Duppy stories in Water Fright?
Miss, I think so. I don't remember. I had it like 4 years ago.
Yeah, I know the book, but I'm trying to remember if there were Duppy stories in it. Or we can check that out. So we have 2 questions to go. I'm going to ask the scholars who recently joined. So Rodriguez will take question 9 and Ariella will take question 10. All right, Rodriguez, please read question 9.
Yes, miss. Several days after the hurricane passed, a damage assessment team announced that the island had endured a 42% destruction of property and that 8% of the population was now homeless. In a country of 2.97 million, About how many persons are now homeless?
So
Number
that mil
9.
means million,
Several
right?
days after the hurricane passed, a damage assessment team announced that the island had endured a 42% destruction of property and that 8% of the population was now homeless. In a country of 2.97 million, about how many persons were now homeless?
All right, so what we're going to do for that? Legende says, I don't want this to end. We don't want it to end either. We just love these live lessons. Ashlyn is saying she's late with her answer about the bus trips and she got 30 trips and she's sorry for being late. It's okay. It's better to be late than
And never.
never. Okay, better late than never. All right, so this is our second to last question. How many persons are now homeless?
Miss?
Madison?
Wait, Miss, let me just multiply this really quickly.
Those in the chat, post your answers for this one, please. How many persons are homeless after this devastating hurricane?
Miss 237,600 people.
Okay, let me see if any other figures are coming in. Legende says 8.22 people.
Miss, what is 2.22 of a person?
Well, in some areas it is allowed. In some areas of statistics, it's actually allowed. As crazy as it seems. As crazy as it seems. But not in this case. We want some actual whole live persons. Legende, tell me how you got that figure while you're at it. Any other figure? So Madison, go ahead then. Tell us how you got that figure.
Okay.
Repeat the figure and tell us how you got it.
Okay, I got 237,600 people. Sorry, 230. Yeah, sorry. So 2.97 million is 2,970,000 people. So I divided that by 100, or I cross divided, and I got 29,700 multiplied by 8. So I multiplied that by 8, and I got 237,600 people.
All right. So basically, you were finding 8% of the
Yes,
population,
miss.
8% of the 2.97 million. And how about the 42? What are we going to do with that?
Miss, is it would it be 42% of the 2.97 million if we're assuming all of them have property?
So would that be a part of the answer?
It's I don't think so.
All right. Anybody else? What should we do with the 42%?
Miss, should I explain how I got 0.8
Yes,
point?
Legende. Go ahead, Legende.
So, Miss, I don't know why I did this, but I did 42 divided by 8, which equals 5.25, and then I said 5.25 plus 2.97. That's how I got 8.22. Miss.
Why did you divide the 42 by 8?
I don't know, Miss.
So you're dividing 1% by another percent, So the thing is, when you're given a problem, a worded problem, you might be given figures that you don't need, right, Madison? We don't need the 42%
Yes.
at all. And sometimes those figures are put there to see if you really know what you're doing, because some students feel that once they see a number there, they have to do something with it. They have to find a way to incorporate it in the answer, but you might just not need it. It's not necessary there. It's irrelevant to that question, so just ignore it. So in this case, we would ignore the 42%. All right. Okay, so Ariella is back. Ariella, can you read the last question for me, please? Question 10.
When Jessica's family returned home, they were relieved to find that the houses were intact and that only some trees were uprooted in their community. They were thankful that they had spared, and they felt very sorry for the other Jamaicans who weren't as fortunate. Jessica decided to write a story about her adventure. What do you think that she entitled the story and why?
Excuse me, miss.
Hold on, Legende. Please read it again, Ariella, and call the number.
10. Jessica's family returned home. They were relieved to find that the houses were intact and only some trees were uprooted in their
Uprooted.
community. They were thankful that they had been spared, and they felt very sorry for the other Jamaicans who weren't as fortunate. Jessica decided to write a story about her adventure. What do you think she entitled the story and why?
All right, so what do you think she entitled the story? I'm going to allow each person to give me their answer, including those backstage. I'm going to let you come back and tell me quickly, what do you
Miss,
think
the
the title
hurricane.
was? The Hurricane. Okay, that's a very general title. Well, for that one, and why would she entitle it just The Hurricane?
Because it was a hurricane, miss.
But anything specific about the hurricane?
The hurricane was directed to the lowland, the
No, no,
lowland.
no. Don't give me too much detail. We're still thinking of the title, right? But I just wanted to add maybe a
Miss,
word
was
or
there a
two.
specific name?
Give me a description of the hurricane or something like that.
The hurricane was very big and it was intact and it was coming
Or the
straight
Great
toward
Big
Jamaica's
Hurricane.
hometown.
Okay, the Great Big Hurricane. So Jerry is saying the thrilling adventure of the ferocious hurricane. And Madison says, how I survived a hurricane. How about you, Jaden?
Miss, can I say, was there a specific year that this was taking place?
Well, we're assuming it's this year or last year.
Okay, my title would be The Great Hurricane of 22.
Okay, the Great Hurricane of 22. How about John Amari? What's your title? And Rodriguez, Ariella Tamir, what title? And why? Why you chose that and that title, Jerry? That's the thrilling. Let me go back and see what Jerry owned. The the thrilling adventure of the ferocious hurricane. Why those words, Jerry?
Miss, I wanted to use strong descriptive words to get the attention of someone.
Okay. Yes. And I can imagine she would have been thrilled. Even though scared, you're still thrilled because it's an exciting experience. You're afraid, but you're still excited. to see all these things happening around you and hearing those winds, roaring outside, and it's
Miss,
dark. Yes,
I was going to say, I was looking in the chat and I saw people saying, what an interesting title, Jer.
yes, it's very interesting. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up here. John
No!
says the less fortunate, or Amari saying the less fortunate. Okay, but yeah, all right. Even though it doesn't mention anything about the hurricane, so it's still kind of vague given what the thing was about. But okay, once you
Miss, I
can
saw
explain
Ariel
yourself.
text in the chat and type in a very long title, longer than Jer's.
So Ariella says nature's most powerful and destructive storms and hurricanes. That sounds like an essay as opposed
That
to
sounds
a
like a good
story.
title, too.
A good title for an essay.
Miss, it sounds like it would be a kind of jumbled up version of multiple hurricane stories. Since
Yeah,
all of it is
right.
from
That's why I'm saying. That's why I'm saying an essay on hurricanes, right? Amari, to prepare for the hurricane. Was it just about the preparation, though? It wasn't just about the preparation. She saw it through. She lived through it, and then is now going to write about it. But guess what, guys? I have a CSEC class right now coming up. So I'm going to have to bid you all farewell.
Okay,
Thank
Miss,
you
I
for
just want to say one thing. Your hair looks very nice. I do
Thank
look
you,
very
Legende.
nice.
Thank you, my darling, and so do
You're
you.
welcome.
Bye, Miss.
All right, so see you tomorrow when we do our ability test.
Tomorrow's Tuesday, Miss.
What we do on Tuesday? Ability test.
Yes, Miss.
Okay. All right, so see you tomorrow. Ta-ta.
Miss, now I have to
Bye,
pack
love
up
you,
with
Miss.
homework. Bye,
Oh, you have
Miss.
lots of homework to go and do. Hush.
Yes, Miss.
Well, think about it. I have a CSEC class to go and do now, so
Okay.
we're both
Bye,
going to
Miss.
be
Love you.
busy. Yes, love you too. Bye.
Bye, Miss.
The code for what, Jaden? Jaden, you're asking the code for what?
sorry for saying that wasn't supposed to be in the group.
Okay. All right. See you tomorrow. Yes,
Bye,
Ariella.
love you.
You have a question, Ariella? Okay, so we join at 7 p.m. Jamaica time. All right, so bye to those in the chat. Bye, Dinsmore. Bye, Antoine. Bye, Ashlyn. Well, Ariella is now in studio with us, no longer in the chat. Bye, Amir. Everyone in the chat, thank you for joining us. And wherever you are, we appreciate your company and your participation. So here's the schedule of live classes. Hello CSEC math students, I know you are busy preparing for your math tests and your CSEC exams coming up. I have a very important question to ask you. Do you like my new hat? Thank you. Now another important question. Have you ever gotten a math problem wrong simply because of making one little mistake? I'm sure you have, as thousands of other students have. Now in this series, we're going to be looking at the common mistakes that students make with all the topics in CSEC Math. We're going to look at the common errors, demystify everything. Make sure you watch every video in this series so that you can avoid making those mistakes. So stay tuned. Hello scholars, did you know that most times when students get problems wrong in mathematics is as a result of one single error or one mistake? Well, this is absolutely true, and we're going to be looking at the common errors that students make in the different topics in mathematics. If we know the errors beforehand, we can certainly avoid making them. Are you ready? Come on, take my hand.